Hi guys! Welcome back to our channel. It's me again, and it's just me today because I am going to share to you some tips in applying for a Korean visa here in Cebu. So we applied last year, 2019, and we were approved and we got a single entry visa at that time. But I know because of the pandemic these days, there are a lot of changes. So in the future, if you need to apply for a Korean visa, please don't forget to always check the official website of the Korean Embassy. So I am going to include all the necessary websites and links in the description of this video. So please don't forget to check it out. Alright? The Korean consulate here in Cebu accepts walk-in applicants, unlike in Manila where you have to apply via an accredited travel agency. Well, but if you like to apply via a travel agency here in Cebu, you can also do that. Remember Attic Tours where we lodged our Japan application for the first time? They also process a Korean visa. So if you like, they're just in SM City, Cebu. And I'm sure there are also other agencies, a lot of accredited travel agencies here in Cebu. But you know, I'm a fan of anything DIY. So if there's a chance for me to do it by myself, I would like to do it by myself. So in this case, for the Korean visa last year, I prepared all the documents by myself and I submitted them personally to the Korean consulate here in Cebu, which is located at the 12th floor of China Bank Corporate Center in Cebu Business Park. Okay, so I'll tell you later what you need to do when you are in the consulate, but for now, let's start talking about the requirements. First, we have our accomplished visa application form. So in filling out this form, it should be computerized and not handwritten. That's what I read online nowadays. But I remember in 2019, I just had it handwritten like what I did in Japan visa application form. So for this one, I also read online that you need to use Arial as your font, and your font size should be 12, and it should be in all capital letters. And also it should be printed on an A4 size on paper. And if there are fields that are not applicable to you, just put an A. Next is one piece passport size colored picture, and your background should be white, and you need to wear something with a color here, or you can use the blazer that's provided by the photo studio. And then paste this picture on the designated area. I believe that's on the first page of the form. Third is our original passport, which should be valid for more than 6 months from the intended travel date. And again, like I always tell you, please make sure that your passport is in very good condition. Alright? Next, provide a clear photocopy of your passport bio page. That's page 2 of your passport. Okay, the next requirement is the original and photocopy of valid visa and arrival stamp to OECD member countries for the past 5 years. But in our case, we didn't travel for the past 5 years in those OECD member countries, so we didn't have to worry about this. So what are OECD member countries? I am not very familiar with all of them, so just check this website here because there are so many of them. Now, if you're invited by a Korean national, then you need to provide an invitation letter and a clear photocopy of that inviter's or that person's passport or ID card. And if you're invited by a Korean company, you also need to provide an invitation letter and the photocopy of the Korean company's business permit. Okay, so those are the basic requirements. I hope you got them all. Now, what we need to do next is to prove to the Korean embassy that we can support our trip financially. So let's now talk about the additional requirements that you need to secure according to your employment status or your status. I'm going to discuss the additional requirements needed if you are self-employed, a housewife, or maybe house husband, and if you're a student, because that's what we prepared last year also. Let's have self-employed first. You need to prepare a clear photocopy of your business registration from the TI or SEC, so whichever is applicable to you, please provide that. Another is a clear photocopy of your business permit or your mayor's permit. Next is your original personal bank certificate. That should include an account type, current balance, account opening date, and the ADB or the average daily balance. Next is the original or a certified true copy of your bank statement for the last 3 months. Also, please prepare a clear photocopy of your income tax return or your ITR with a BIR stamp and a photocopy of the payment of the receipt if there was a payment made. Also, prepare a copy of your PRC card or IBP card if it's applicable to you. In our case, we didn't have that, so no need for that. So those are just the additional requirements for self-employed individuals. Now let's go to the additional requirements for housewives like me or house husbands in some cases. So for housewives, we can submit our own or our husband's original personal bank certificate. In my case, I just use my husband's personal bank certificate. You can also use your own or your husband's original bank statement for the last 3 months. Also, secure a clear photocopy of your PSA marriage certificate. That should still be valid within 1 year. Okay? And if your husband is self-employed, then you also need to get all the requirements I mentioned earlier. So submit that for your application as well. Now, if your husband is employed, you need to prepare a copy of his original certificate of employment with his employer's address, landline number, and the email address of the HR department, and his position in the company, and the date he was hired, and his salary. And of course, a copy of his ITR, which he can get from the HR department or the employer. Okay? Now let's go to the students' additional requirements. Number 1 is the original school certificate. You can get this from the school, of course, and I think they charge minimal amount for this, and they will also ask you why you're going to need this. In my case, when I got this from my son's school, I just told them that I'm going to use it for Korean visa application, and I think I paid 50 pesos for that, or maybe it was free. I cannot really remember well. Next requirement for them is a photocopy of their school ID, a photocopy of their PSA birth certificate, and a photocopy of their parents' PSA marriage certificate. They also need their parents' original bank certificate and bank statement. In our case, we only provided my husband's financial documents. And I believe that's all for the requirements. So what are we going to do next after gathering all those documents? For family applications like us, we needed to provide documents that will serve as a proof of our relationships, and again, birth certificate and marriage certificates are 2 of the best examples. So all the applicants in the family do not necessarily need to go to the Korean consulate. You just need to choose someone who will file and submit all those documents for the whole family, and in our case, that's me. So adto na to sa process. This is what you need to do, and this is what I did when I went to the Korean consulate in Cebu. Again, it's located at the 12th floor of China Bank Corporate Center in Cebu Business Park. Make sure to bring 2 valid IDs because you're going to use these IDs upon entering the building, and if naana ka dito sa 12th floor. Now, when entering the building, tell the guard that you're going to the Korean consulate sa 12th floor, and then go to the receptionist nasa logbook, and you need to sign and then leave one ID. So, napakayo sa ID, yung nabilin. You will use that later. After that, take the elevator because 12th floor pa tao, di ma daog stairs. Kapoy kayo na. Then, kung nana ka sa 12th floor, inikawas mo sa elevator, you will see a guard who's going to check your bag and ask you to leave another ID. So, there. Gamit na naman mo duha ka ID. Then, they will give you a small sticker that you will use in covering the camera of your phone because it's not allowed to use a camera inside the consulate. But I remember, I think I was able to use my phone. There was just no camera. So scroll lang. The guard will also give you a priority number and they will give you a list of documents. So according to the type of application that you're going to submit, they will give you the corresponding list of documents. So I get 3 lists for the self-employed, housewife, and students. And then you have to check that list and arrange all the documents according to the list. So I already arranged all the documents before going there, but I had to check again and I think I had to rearrange all the documents. I believe this is to make the job of the visa officer easier para dili na siya magsigig panita-panita sa mga documents needed. Remember your priority number given by the guard? Check that, and when that number is called, go to the visa window and submit all your documents to the person in charge. That person will check and assess all your documents if they're all complete or if na may kuwang. So please make sure that before going there, you have all your documents ready and complete. Kaya sayang kayo kung magsigig balik-balik dito. Time is gold. So when everything's okay, that person in charge is going to give you a small sheet of paper where you can see the date and time for you to pick up your passport and hopefully with a visa. Oh, but I remember in 2019, in ani pa ang visa, or should sticker that they will stick on your passport. So like this. So you can see na used here. So this was last year, but I was searching before I made this video. I think the Korean embassy is not going to provide the stickers anymore. So I have here this. Starting July 1, 2020, the Embassy of the Republic of Korea will no longer issue a visa label for applications filed in the Philippines. So if you are granted a Korean visa in the future, you need to do something online from the official website of the Korean Embassy, and there you need to print out something like a visa grant notice. Sayang no, kaya diba nindot biya kayo tan-ang kung na yung mga visa imong passport. But the more important thing is that you will be granted with a visa. Korean visa is free if you are staying in Korea for 59 days or less. But if you're staying there for 60 to 90 days, you have to pay 2,000 pesos to the embassy. And if you're applying via a travel agency, they will also charge, I don't know how much because again, I applied by myself. So maybe 1,000 or less, depende sa agency. In 2019, also the processing time of the Korean visa was a bit shorter, maybe 7 to 10 days. But now I think it's longer because there are so many people who are applying for a Korean visa. We are crazy about Korean dramas, Korean movies. I'm also one of those people. And we are crazy about a lot of Korean oppa. But then again, always check the website because you will see a lot of notices there and announcements. I know makulba kayo magkuwad sa atong visa because we don't know if you will be granted or denied. But don't worry because you can track your application online. So here in this website, and then you choose English and provide all the details needed. And I guess that's all for today. Once again, don't forget that this is just based on our personal experience and nobody can say if you will be approved or denied of a Korean tourist visa. But I hope that these tips that I am sharing with you today will be helpful to you when you are applying for your own tourist visa in the future. So before I end this video, I want to say thank you so much for watching our previous videos and for watching this video as well. And we hope to continue sharing some tips with you in the future. So if you appreciate this video, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And if you have any questions about Korean visa application here in Cebu, just don't forget to leave your comment and I will try my best to help you. Again, thank you so much. Till next time, 안녕!